Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wine Women of Words, and actually, Happy New Year also. It's our first show of 2019. It's crazy that we're kicking off our third year, our third Happy New Year show. Yay! I'm Michelle, and with me, of course, is Diana.
Hello.
And Lilo.
Yeah, she thinks she's part of the podcast, too.
And this evening, we are joined by Susan McBeth, founder of Adventures by the Book. Thank you so much for joining us, Susan. We're so excited to have you on the show.
I'm excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Definitely. So, well, you're our very first guest of the year. We didn't have a show last week, and I've been, that week between Christmas and New Year's where you don't know what's going on. I think I'm still in that limbo since we just got back from our trip last night.
Well, I'm honored to be the first one of the year.
Yay.
Okay, you go.
I know. We're going to get back into our rhythm now. This is what happens when we take a week off. So tell us, Susan, a little bit about Adventures by the Book.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's actually my passion project. You reach a certain age in your life where, you've had jobs that pay the bills, and at some point you just want to do something you love. And this is something I absolutely love. I'm a compulsive organizer, so I was always drawn to doing events. And I ended up as the director of marketing at events for a bookstore and did author events for years and just loved that. But I was kind of chomping at the bit to expand my wings a little bit and to do some more interactive events. And in a bookstore, you really don't have the flexibility to do that. So I took a leap of faith and left my job and started Adventures by the Book in 2011. And my goal was to create what I like to call multi-sensorial events, which basically means we like to bring literature to life in more exciting ways than just a lecture event. So, like you guys, we'll drink wine with our books, or we'll do chocolate tastings or happy hours. We do literary teas. We even travel with authors around the world. So we do a little bit of everything. And I love every minute of it.
I love it. What have been some of your favorite trips that you've done?
Oh my gosh. Well, one of my first ones, we did a day trip up to Chinatown in LA with Lisa C. And I just adore her. She's one of my favorite authors, not to mention just the most darling person on earth. And so she led us around a walking tour of Chinatown. We followed her, had lunch with her. She took us to shops that some of her, I think her grandfather owned a shop and her uncle owned a shop because they were original founders of the Chinatown. So that was really amazing.
I didn't know that they were original founders of Chinatown. We had her on the show.
Integral in the founding of it. So she's got a really fascinating history. If you've ever read her memoir On Gold Mountain, you'll get some of the juicy details, but definitely worth a read.
We are going to have to read on Gold Mountain before she comes back in March or April, is when we're looking at for her to come back for her next book.
Yes,
we're going to have to ask her about that. Yes, I adore her. I cannot wait for her next book, and that's so cool that you got to do that.
I know. I feel very lucky. Every event we do, I just feel like, pinch me. This is real. We have so much fun, and we just came back from Patagonia with an author who she's a former penguin researcher. And she wanted to go to Patagonia to check on her penguins. So we put a trip down there together, and we stayed on an estancia, and then we got to visit sea lions and penguins and all sorts of wildlife. And then, it worked out well as a launching point for my husband and I. We just finished celebrating our 40th wedding anniversary. So we went to Antarctica from there to celebrate. So it was really a grand scale trip. But in March, we went to Thailand with a world-renowned vegan chef, and he took us on a foodie tour of Thailand, which was amazing. In April, we're going to Morocco with Kitty Morse, who is a Moroccan-born chef. She is remarkable. She's just the most darling person you'll ever meet. And you want to add another book to your list to read is her memoir/cookbook, which is called Mint Tea and Minarets. And it is so fascinating. And so we get to go to Morocco with her in March. And there's 2 spots left. You ladies could join us.
Oh, that is so tempting.
Well, and I was looking through, reading through your website, and as you know, being fully in tune with all things kids, I saw the Fancy Nancy parade, and was like, oh my gosh, I have to tell. Look, my 4-year-old is obsessed with Fancy Nancy right now.
Oh yeah, have you met Robin before?
I haven't, no, but we walk around going la la whenever we see a Nancy anything.
Yeah, everything's splendiferous and très magnifique, and
exactly.
It is so fabulous with the kids. And we typically don't do children's events, but that one kind of, you know, we did it as a favor, and we just adore her, and we'll do anything for her. And so we did a Fancy Nancy tea, and that sold out. So we did another tea, and that sold out. And then somebody approached us and said, well, we want to do a tea in our community. And I said, well, our events are kind of one of a kind. So I don't want to do another tea, but we could create something. And so we created a Fancy Nancy parade in their community, and everybody dressed up in their Fancy Nancy garb. And we had like 800 people who showed up for this event. It was crazy. And we paraded around Del Mar, California in our Fancy Nancy regalia. And it was so much fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You guys have to come to Chicago and do those.
We'd love that.
Because I know a little 4-year-old ringmaster who would gladly lead the parade.
Yes, lead the pack. That would be great.
I can't think of, what's the name of the person who leads the parade? I can't think of that word right now.
The Grand Marshal?
Oh, the Grand Marshal?
Yes, that was not the word I was thinking of. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
something a little more diva-esque. Is she going to be the diva marshal?
Yeah, we'd have to create something for your daughter, but definitely she could be the leader.
Yeah, I could see her just taking over the whole parade, and she's going to be like, I'm Fancy Nancy today.
Boa and pearls and everything.
And her mom has to dress up like that too, you know.
Obviously.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like your daughter is my spirit animal, Michelle. I have to say, with her boas and her she's so extra. I love it. I hope she never outgrows it.
My daughter's a tomboy, so I never got the Fancy Nancy daughter stuff. So I live vicariously through these events.
Now, my daughter, she's one of those girls who I feel like she'll be able to change the oil on her car while wearing pearls and Shakespeare. So I'm like, you know what? You can be a tomboy all you want, just a little girly, just for me.
I know.
There are photos of her playing basketball in her princess dress. Yeah. So I mean, it's a little bit of both worlds.
That's great.
But I love what you do. I think that's the epitome of every reader. You know, when you read books that transport you to places, it's what you want to do. You know, you want to experience the book on that level. There's a series of books by Kate Moss, not the model, author Kate Moss, The Labyrinth and the Citadel, I think. And they all take place in the Languedoc region of France. And my mom and I are just dying to go there and see everything.
It's fantastic. Well, if you have an in with Kate, let her know about us and we can put a tour together and you can come with us. We actually did a trip to Paris and Provence with Susan Vreeland before she passed away. And it was the most amazing experience. We went to Rodin's garden. And when we went there, Susan had this vision in her head. She had written a scene in her book, Lisette's List, about a young newlywed couple who wanted to pose like Rodin's statue, The Lover. And so Susan had this vision when our group went there that she wanted to recreate that. And she made all the married couples sit on a bench in Rodin's garden. And she posed each of us, and she made me and my husband start. And my husband he does not want to be the center of attention at all. But she made him go first. And so I had to sit in his lap in front of everybody. And she was posing us. So he had his hand on my thigh and one around my arm. And having us gaze into each other's eyes. And of course, we've been married 40 years, so I just started cracking up. I couldn't stop laughing. And it was so much fun. And everyone took their turn. All the couples on the trip did their turn, and we took photos. And before we knew it, there was a huge line of tourists that wanted to do the same thing. They didn't even know who we were or what we were doing, but they wanted to participate. And so we met this couple from Brazil, and I will never forget them. They were true newlyweds. They had just gotten married. They were there on their honeymoon. And so we posed them, and they didn't even know who Susan Vreeland was. And I was trying to explain to them that she was this, very well-known New York Times bestselling author, and you got to meet her and be posed by her. So we took pictures, and it was a fun experience. But those kind of things happen on our trip that you just, they're so unexpected, which makes them so much more meaningful. Mm-hmm. And that's what I love about every event. They're just unexpected. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yes, and you also do events closer to home through another program, because like me, this is why we are friends now, because we have so many different little projects. You do the Novel Network, and there's going to be an event coming up at the end of the month with that as well.
Yes. So, well, how that got started is, I was doing Adventures by the Book, and over the years, I kept getting requests from authors saying, we want to find more book clubs to connect with. And simultaneously, I was getting requests from book clubs saying, how do other book clubs find authors? Because we want to meet with authors. We want to Skype with them. And if they're local, they have to come to our book club. And I realized that there was actually no clearinghouse to do that. And so I started doing some research and some focus groups and surveys and meeting with book clubs and authors, and decided to put this program together. And it's basically like a match.com for authors and book clubs. So if any readers are looking for authors who want to meet with book clubs, they'll FaceTime with them, Skype with them, visit with them in person if they're local. They just go to novelnetwork.com. And so it just launched literally 6 months ago. So it's brand new. And we have over 70 authors on board, from international bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, to we have a cookbook author and memoir writer from Morocco is a member. We have debut authors, mystery writers, nonfiction writers. And so we have all these authors who want to meet with book clubs. And we thought it'd be fun to do what we call a bingo event. And basically, instead of a bingo card with numbers and letters, we're giving people bingo cards with pictures of the authors or their books. And the goal is all these authors, there's going to be 13 authors, an opening speaker, Melanie Benjamin, who I'm really excited about, a keynote speaker, Laura Kamoy, who's going to be there. We have 11 other authors, so 13 total. There's going to be panel discussions. And then in between breaks, everybody gets to take their bingo card around and interact with every one of the authors, get their bingo card signed, so they'll be eligible for prizes at the end of the day. And it's just going to be a fun event. We did our launch bingo in San Diego in June when we launched Novel Network. We had 20 authors who came from all across the country. It was so much fun. The Carlsbad Library wanted to repeat it, so they asked us, and we're doing a modified version of it on January 26th. It's free and open to the public, but we do expect there's going to be a pretty big crowd, so you have to show up early to get your seat. But it's going to be really fun, and we're looking at doing other bingo events around to feature all our Novel Network authors and to connect with readers. And it's just a fun way to get people talking about books.
I love the idea of the non-traditional bingo. When I was part of the Paralegal Association, we did that with our board members to kind of get our board members to interact with our membership. The members had to go around and, as they're talking, try to find out. And it wasn't just the names that they had to get. We put in, I collected some of the weirdest facts from our board members. We had one that was a model for Nordstrom, one that was on a talk show when she was a child. Another one that was in a music video. And so they had to go around and they had to talk and figure out who did this, which one was which. And, you hear these funny stories that you wouldn't otherwise hear at functions like that. And so I love the idea of doing that with authors too. And, I am trying to get you to come up here to LA.
I would love to. We're going to have to talk because we're already planning our next one in San Diego, and we could, do a back-to-back thing with you guys. So it'd be fun. But what we found out is when there's multiple author events, everybody wants to talk to the higher profile authors, the New York Times bestsellers, and there's some really amazing authors out there who aren't as well known. And so we thought that would be a fun way to try to get people to talk to every single author, because you're right, you do learn stuff about people that you never knew that's fascinating, and discover new writers and new books. So it really is a fun way to do that. And it's also, a lot of people are shy and get intimidated by talking to authors. So it kind of is an icebreaker too, right? As you have a reason, you present your bingo card, and it gives you an excuse to ask them about their book and talk to them in kind of a non, I don't want to say threatening way, not that it's threatening, but just a
non-stalkerish way.
Yes.
not in a way that you forget your words.
Exactly.
This is quite to my shame. One of my best friends and I went to a book signing event for one of our favorite authors, and we went up and did like a photo with her and, all that stuff. And I'm watching, we basically went up, smiled next to her, and walked away. And
oh, no.
And I was watching people after us, and I turned to my friend and I said, I'm noticing everyone like introduce themselves. So we're huge fans, and like we forgot our words. We didn't do any of that. And
but I'm like you, is I don't get starstruck with Hollywood celebrities or athletes, but I do get starstruck with authors. And
oh my god,
yeah, I understand where you're coming from.
So I love that you build in conversation starters to prompt people to not forget their words.
Well, not only that, I mean, not just for the readers, but for the authors too. We were approached by, surprisingly, a New York Times bestselling author who is painfully shy. And she was very freaked out about going to a bookstore and lecturing because she's just intimidated by speaking. And so her publicist had approached us and said, can you do something for her that's less visible and less stressful for her? And so we went to a really fun bar, and we did a happy hour event, and they had a big lounge, and we just sat around, got everyone a glass of wine, and the whole group sat around on these couches with a glass of wine, and it was just like a bunch of girlfriends talking. And the author told me afterwards, she said, it was the best event I've ever done because I didn't stress out about having to talk to anybody. It was just like sitting in my living room with my girlfriends. And so it's fun for the authors as well as the readers.
I think more of these kind of informal author events are really fun for that reason. It's not necessarily an author standing at a podium and reading a selection from, or a passage from their book, or answering questions. It encourages that two-way communication and lets readers and authors really connect more than
exactly
traditional setting.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you guys definitely need to move west to the Midwest.
Well, we get
like 8 hours in any direction.
We get requests all the time to franchise in other cities, and Chicago is one of the cities that we have actually toyed with the idea of exploring. So you never know.
If you need someone on the ground to help.
Exactly. That's exactly what we need.
There you go, Michelle. You would be awesome.
I know you guys do nothing else. I mean, I met with my Anna, and she was telling me all the things she's involved in addition to working a full-time day job. I said, oh my God, you guys are crazy.
And this is why I have dogs.
Yes. We run out of coffee until it's socially acceptable to switch to wine.
There you go.
Sometimes before it's socially acceptable to switch to wine. I'm not going to lie.
Every once in a while you got to do that.
Mm-hmm. Usually on Tuesdays and bank holidays.
Do you have any, besides I know you mentioned that at the end of the month you have that event coming up in Carlsbad. Are there any other events that are in the works that you're really excited about?
Oh my gosh, we have a crazy spring and some of my favorite authors, so we're really excited. I mean, we booked an event with Martha Kelly, who you may remember from Lilac Girls fame. It was an international bestseller. And she's got a new book coming out that takes place in Russia. So we're doing a Russian, I forgot if it's a dinner. I think it's a Russian dinner or maybe a Russian lunch. So it's kind of a themed event, which is fun. We've got Alan Brennert, who's got his new book, Daughter of Molokai, which I just finished and loved as much as I loved the first one. So we're doing a Hawaiian luncheon with him, which will be really fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're doing a couple of big events with Steven Pinker that I'm really excited about. What else do we have going on? Oh, we have Louise Urea coming, and Whitney Scherer, who's, she's a debut author, but her book has taken the world by storm. I mean, it's one of the hottest titles of the spring, and we're super excited. We do a literary tea at the Westgate Hotel in San Diego every quarter, and so she's going to be featured there, as is Christopher Castellani, who I adore. They're both from Boston, so they'll be out with their new books. Christopher's is called Leading Men, and it's a really great read too. So we have so many events coming up. I can't even remember all of them, but we're excited about every single one of them.
Yeah, they're all so great, and I think we should talk a little bit more about the one that's coming up at the end of the month, since that's the first one that's coming up.
Yes.
You said it's in Carlsbad.
Yes.
What time does it start? Because I know you said that it's free to everybody, but you should get there early.
Yes, so it's from, I believe, 1 to 5 p.m. So it's about 4.5 hours. And I think the way it works with the Carlsbad Library is you show up, they start giving tickets at the door at noon to line up. And I think the auditorium seats about 250 people. So it'll be tickets to the first 250 people that show up. And then if there's overflow, sometimes they do Skype in another adjoining conference room if they need to. So, but yeah, so we'll do an opening keynote with Melanie Benjamin, and then we'll do a panel of 4 or 5 authors, and then we'll take a break so that everybody can come out and meet the authors, get their books signed, get their bingo cards signed, interact, and then we'll go back in for another round of panel discussions and our keynote with Laura Kamoy. And it's just going to be a really fun afternoon. I mean, you'll get to discover 13 authors all in the same afternoon, which I think is just so incredible. And they're all so diverse. I mean, they're all good books for book clubs to read, which is why we picked them. But they're all very diverse titles.
Yeah, and some of the other titles that are authors that are going to be there. I know Elise Hooper is going to be there. Our March book of the month.
Yes,
and refresh my memory. Oh, me too. I got to have lunch with her when I was in Seattle, and she's so sweet and so much fun.
She is, and the thing about her too is we did a Facebook Live with her on Novel Network leading up to this, and she was so excited when she was talking, and I said, "Are you just this excited because you're talking about your book, or is this your personality?" Because it was so infectious. I just loved being around her, and I said, people have no idea what they're in for. If they schedule you for a visit with their book club, whether it's via Skype or in person, they are going to fall in love with her. She is so fun and so knowledgeable and interesting and a good writer. So she's got the whole package.
Absolutely. I can't wait to have her on. And Michelle's super excited about it because Michelle, who's a journalist, loves any book that's about a journalist. You know, as soon as it comes through, we're like, oh, snatch it up, regardless of the topic within the journalism. So when she heard about this one, she was like, you've got this one, right?
Well, and I messaged her after. We could always bring book club bingo to Chicago. I'm just saying.
You should. You guys can talk, and you guys will talk after the show. You guys can totally make this happen. I mean, yeah, we are here for like everything that you do. We are here for it.
Lends itself very well to organizing. It drives me crazy. And he goes, "What are you doing?" And I have all the toys surrounding me. I'm like, "I'm reorganizing. I can't take this. The dolls are in the bin where the cars are supposed to be, and it's all."
And I almost went into event planning before I got my paralegal certificate. That was like career option number one.
Really?
It was, and I was looking at, you know, going back to school, doing, you know, getting the certification in it, but it was during the recession. So I was like, you know, maybe I should go for something a little bit more recession proof, just because of the economy at the time.
Well, it's never too late. I have to say, well, you and I talked about this before, but I'm a recovering paralegal too. So
I think that's part of being a paralegal. The law lends itself, or those of us who've been in law, lends itself to becoming writers. So many great writers. Stephanie Dre is a lawyer.
yeah.
I know a number of lawyers and paralegals in the Women's National Book Association. Wasn't Grisham? Wasn't he a lawyer too at one point?
Well, you know, you got to hurry up and get your book published so we can start doing events for you, and you can be the star of Book Club Bingo.
From your lips to a future agent's ears.
Fingers crossed and toes.
Yes, exactly. And then after me, then Michelle. We got to get Michelle. We're cheering Michelle on to finish her book.
Michelle, what are you writing?
It's more. I don't know what it falls into. Does it fall into like fantasy kind of?
Fantasy.
Yeah,
definitely fantasy.
Fantasy. Yeah, more not science fiction. Fantasy writing.
Okay. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm like 30,000-ish words away from completing my first draft. So if I write 1,000 words a day, I should be done in a month.
I know. I had an author give me great advice one time because I'm writing a book as well, and she said, you know, if you write 1 page a day, at the end of the year you have a book, 365 pages. And I said, oh my God, that's the most brilliant advice I've ever heard. And that was probably 5 years ago, and I still haven't done it. But great advice for those who will follow it.
Yeah, as Neil Gaiman put it, writing is the easiest and hardest job in the whole world.
Yeah. I agree.
It's really, really true.
I love I've heard the 1 page a day. I think, was it Seth Margulis who does 1 page a day? He told us about 1 page a day, and someone else said 1,000 words. And I was like, well, I like 1,000 words. And then I was sitting down looking at like my spreadsheet for my word count, and I went, if I write 1,000 words a day, I could finish this before 2018. And then there was like 2 weeks straight that I didn't get to write anything.
Yeah, life gets in the way.
And some days it happens, some days it doesn't. You know.
Yeah.
So,
C'est la vie.
2019 is the year.
It is. It is going to be the year. I will toast to that. Well, thank you so much. We are at our half an hour.
Wow.
I know, it went by so fast. Thank you so much, Susan. I'm so excited about the 26th because I will be there with bells on, have a whole trip planned around the event. So I'm so excited.
I love it. Thank you for having me. I love talking to you guys. I love talking to fellow book lovers.
I love talking with you too.
When you can nerd out with someone over books.
I know, right? You guys get it.
Yeah, exactly. We totally get it. What's the website that everybody can go to check out this event for the end of the month and then for the future events?
So they can go to adventuresbythebook.com and learn about all of our events, including the bingo event. And then if they're in a book club and want to connect with authors, invite them to their book clubs, they can go to novelnetwork.com, and it's free for book clubs to join. So, and they can get access to our database of authors, check their schedules right there, and schedule the book club right there on the website. It's very simple.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you again, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So now we are going to switch over to our discussion for our book of the month, which Diana has already been obsessing over, and I finally got to start reading because I forgot it on our trip. It's the seven and a half Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. Okay. Now I am curious because I read somewhere on one of the reviews or on a post somewhere the British version is the 7 deaths. So I'm really curious as to what happens in the American version that we get the extra half death.
I believe with Stuart, I read something. I think there was a tweet or something that he did that it was just a cultural thing. I think it was a title thing that they do, like just like with oh gosh, the first Harry Potter book, where with Harry, the first one, it was we have there's a Philosopher's Stone versus the Sorcerer's Stone.
Well, I guess seven kind of rolls off the tongue right there. Seven does. But so where are you? Because I know you've already been plowing through this thing.
I purposely slowed down and started reading The Only Woman in the Room, about Hedy Lamarr.
Oh, okay.
I slowed down because I knew you were going to need some time to catch up to me, because I just started chapter 7.
Okay, so I'm on chapter 5. But for those of you who are just starting out, and there's plenty of time for you guys to pick up this book and start reading with us, I'm just going to read the sleeve, not the whole thing, just the first half of this book. So it says, "The rules of Blackheath. Evelyn Hardcastle will be murdered at 11 p.m. There are 8 days and 8 witnesses for you to inhabit. We will only let you escape once you tell us the name of the killer. Understood? Then let's begin." Dun, dun, dun.
I know. I'm just. It feels like.
It's
Downton,
like.
Yeah, to me it feels like Downton Abbey meets Deborah Harkness in the Deborah Pratt's book or show, Quantum Leap.
Oh, okay.
It's the best way to describe this book is Downton Abbey meets Quantum Leap. That's the way I feel about this. Since you're still with us, Susan, is this a book that's been on your radar, or is it on your radar now?
It hasn't, and it sounds very intriguing.
I came across it while I was just, surfing through Amazon, as we all do, just for books. And because having 75 books in my wish list on Amazon isn't enough, I add some more. And I found this book, and I went, ooh, and then I showed it to Diana, and I said, I think we have to have this book on the show as a book of the month. Because it sounds, as the reader, you're trying to solve the mystery with the main character, and there isn't even like a set main character. It all changes to different points of view. So it sounded so fun. And right now I have no idea what the heck is going on in the book, but it's gonna, I can tell, those books where you get frustrated because you can't tell what's going on, and the ending is going to come together in like one epic, mind-blowing moment.
We are having Stuart on. It's going to probably be early February, like the first weekend of February, we're going to do a coffee date with him, since he's going to be in Australia at the time. We're going to arrange for him, a time for him to be on the show. And yeah, that's going to be a spoilerific episode.
Definitely read the book before you watch the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's funny too is that after Michelle sent the book to, the link to the book to me, I was like, yeah, this looks really interesting. Let's go ahead and get him. And I, shortly after that, the book just blew up all over Instagram. It's one of the most talked about books on Instagram right now.
Well, and for good reason, because I may only be on chapter 5, but the way that he describes his characters is awesome. I mean, let me try to find. I love Vicky, the brandy-loving doctor who examines.
Yes, the way he describes the man's mustache is just the best.
Okay. Last month, Diana was the one to read passages that she highlighted from The Lost Vintage. This month is going to be me.
Okay. At least we get that memo, so we can take turns.
Right? This is the way that he introduced a new character. I opened the door to find a huge gray mustache on the other side. It's a remarkable sight, the tips curling off the edge of the face they're theoretically attached to. The man behind it is in his 60s, perfectly bald, with a bulbous nose and bloodshot eyes. My cat just knocked over my wine glass. That's not in the book. But cheerfully so, as though every drop went down smiling. Like, he just sounds like someone you want to have fun with.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that, like, the character describes himself as being so boring, and I'm like, you can't be that boring. Look at the way you describe people. And you get just, like, this perfect image where, even though, like I said, it is Downton Abbey meets like Quantum Leap, but at the same time, as soon as you said Clue, I'm also picturing the movie.
Right? I mean, and on the cover, so the cover has different images in the corner. There's a pistol and then a
pawn.
I don't play chess. I don't
know. It's a pawn. It's a
bottle of poison. So I'm over here thinking that,
and a compass.
Murder weapons, are they hints as to what's happening in the book? I'm probably being way too critical of everything, but I don't know. I could be on, and I tend to be rather close to what's happening.
Typically, and what's going to end up happening about mid-month is what I'm guessing is I'm going to get texts at 3 o'clock in the morning my time. I'm going to wake up to them going, oh my God, I know who did it. It's this theory, isn't it? And this is one of those books where I'm going to have to stay ahead of her at the same time, because if I am not ahead of her when I get those texts from her, she's wanting to give me those texts, I'm going to get, why aren't you up to speed yet? What's the matter with you? Are we even still best friends?
You don't even know me.
I thought our relationship meant something to you. Why aren't you the faster reader?
Well, normally you are. Typically, Susan, just to fill you in, Diana usually reads light years faster than I do. So she texts me and goes, oh my God, I hate this character. And you'll text me when you get to that point because you'll know why. and I have grown accustomed to kind of being the lagging partner and getting the irritated gifs of hurry up or GIF, however.
It's grammatically it is GIF, even though the creator says GIF, so you can actually say either one. It is correct both ways. But yes, when we were reading The Kingdom of Copper in July,
City of Brass.
City of Brass, thank you. Kingdom of Copper is next month. City of Brass, and over the summer, I read it in like a week. And Michelle was still reading it, and she was getting so annoyed with me with all the gifts I kept sending her when she wasn't reading fast enough for me, because so much happens in that book too, and I had nobody to discuss it with.
And that's when you turn to Twitter and start harassing the authors on Twitter, going, "Can I talk about this with you? Because I have questions and no one else is reading."
I have done that. But I don't do it with the authors who are coming on the show because I want to try to save the questions until then. And I've only done it a few times. Heather Webb was one of the few that I did it to, because at the time she wasn't scheduled to be author, or her book wasn't Book of the Month yet. And I was like, oh my God, I need to discuss this with somebody. And Michelle hasn't finished reading this yet. So I'm going to bother you about your book.
I did that with B.A. Paris when I was listening to Bring Me Back, and that was just an on my own book. Going, I'm trying to figure out the ending of your book, and I have 3 theories, and I'm trying to figure out which one is right. None of them are right, but one of them was close. But this is going to be, I feel like this is a book that I have to take notes and pay very careful attention to, like, the tiniest details. And I already have a character I don't like.
Oh, really? Who's the character you don't like?
The guy, the servant who drove off. Why can't I remember his name? Starts with a S, I think. Stirwin or something like that.
Okay, well, you know, in the very beginning, don't forget, let's point out, I love when authors do stuff like that, when you know you've got this big cast of characters, or you've got like this really complicated world, and they put like either a map, which, I mean, Stuart did that too. There is a map of the castle grounds in the very beginning, and then there's also an invitation. For those of you who are watching, you can check it out. There is an invitation that has the cast listed on there. So I have gone back a couple times to reference it, and I've got for Christmas. I got llama Post-its. Because llamas are my second most favorite animal in the whole wide world. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, second most favorite animal. First is octopus. Third is a dog.
I like top 3 ready at the drop of a hat. Like,
I totally do.
It's not first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not allowed to have an octopus or a llama in my backyard. My husband is no fun. But
rules.
I know, right? I mean, I could totally keep an octopus in my pool. That's why we have a pool, right? But anyways, getting back to the book, and I love the cast. You can actually see principal household staff listed on there, and then he's not listed.
But he's a guest now. He's not listed there. Oh, what is he doing there then?
Is it Stanwin? Ted Stanwin?
Oh, is he there?
Yeah, he's there. He's under notable guests, right under Sebastian.
Hold on. My husband is calling me from the other room going, you have to come in here. Hold.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, the character that I happen to not like is Michael Hardcastle, the son.
The husky and the cat are cuddling on the couch together. It's the first time they've done that.
Oh,
sorry.
Oh, cute. That was, a pausable moment for the show. That was very important.
Susan, we're not usually this hyper, but this is the first time we've talked in like 2 weeks.
It's not the first time we've talked in 2 weeks. It's the first time we've had a show in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Let's be honest. We've texted at least, 5 times today? That is kind of slow for us.
I like the chemistry.
In 2 weeks, so we have all the thoughts, and we're getting all the thoughts out right now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that with the chemistry. This is pretty much the way our conversations go from the time that we were working together in the horrible cubicles in the timeshare call center. And yeah, when Michelle talks about me being a speed reader, there were days where she'd hand me a book at 8 o'clock in the morning to borrow, and I'd have it finished by 4 o'clock that afternoon.
Oh.
And yeah, because all I did was read that whole day.
Did you ever read Soul of an Octopus? Did you ever read Soul of an Octopus?
No, but I feel like I must.
I think you must.
I think I must, yes.
Yes, it's a worthwhile read.
Yeah, I became slightly obsessed with octopuses a few years ago. I actually read around when steampunk. What, Michelle?
Is it octopuses or octopi?
It is octopuses, because octopus is one of the few words that have not actually come from originated from a Greek word. So it is grammatically correct to say octopuses. Octopi is actually not grammatically correct.
And this book will share that as well. So I feel like this book is speaking to you, Diana.
I feel like it is too, because I do feel like I have a soul of an octopus, the attitude of a llama, and the heart of a dachshund. Really, when it comes down to it, that is my totem pole.
I wonder what that totem pole is. I don't know.
Well, there's definitely a cat knocking over a wine glass in your totem pole.
True. Yeah. He definitely did that right now. I'm not happy with him right now. Fortunately, it was empty, so I can't be too mad. But
yeah, well, he was mad because it was empty. That's why he knocked it over.
Well, we've been gone for five days, and we took River with us. We took the husky with us, and we left Fish at home. And I'm pretty sure he has a personality complex to begin with, because he's a cat named Fish that lives with a dog. So I don't know if he really knows what kind of animal he is.
And yeah, you have a confused cat.
He is. He's not graceful. You know, some cats can like leap across things. He like jumps and he lands with all fours and he like grabs onto it. He's not graceful. He's a very awkward cat. He thinks he's a dog. And we named him.
So he's totally your spirit animal.
Yeah, he's awkward and clumsy. He is my spirit animal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He totally is.
It describes me perfectly. Anyway, can we talk about the book now?
Okay, so as I was saying, I don't like Michael. I don't like Michael Hardcastle.
I like him. Oh, I've read like 2 pages of him, but I mean, clearly he has a drinking problem because he drank 5 bottles of wine like it was no big deal. But I mean, it's so they've invited like what 50 people-ish to this manor in the middle of nowhere, and it's very in a dark woods in that sense. Like that's kind of, I mean, even though it's a manor and this giant sprawling English mansion, I picture in a dark wood type setting.
Oh, it totally is, because I mean, once you get a little further into it, like I think in chapter 6, they talk about how it's just really in the middle of nowhere.
It's very what did it say? What year? It's not modern, is it? Like it's not.
It is Downton Abbey-esque, or Downton Abbey era. It's like early 1900s, because I mean, you still have you don't have cars yet. He had to go down to the stable. He's looking at going into town, so he has to go down to the stable, request on a piece of paper for somebody to hook up the horses to take him to the village, to get out of there.
Okay, not present day, but it's very isolated, and books that are set in those isolated, like there's no escape, you can't get away, they give me anxiety to begin with. So, oh, and it even says on the back, Agatha Christie meets Downton Abbey with a splash of red wine and Twin Peaks. So you're on the right path.
I am on the right path. I mean, I could see the Agatha Christie. I see that. But
I loved Agatha Christie books when I was younger.
Agatha Christie is cool and all, but I think for pop culture, for the reference from what I've seen, it's primarily it's Downton Abbey meets Quantum Leap. It's really what it comes down to.
Well, I'm very excited to keep reading this. I completely forgot to pack it with me. I had another book packed that I'm actually still reading. It's very good. But now that I'm home and I have this book right here, that one might have to wait, because now I need to know what happens.
You've got to hold on that rabbit hole. I'm looking forward to Saturday. It's going to rain this weekend because it is wintertime in California and we get rain. And the world is going to come to an end because it's going to rain. So I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm just going to curl up in my reading nook and read this.
Yes, you're such raindrops in Southern California.
Yeah, I mean, a few raindrops and everything comes to an end.
It's true.
Yeah, we can't drive. We don't know what's going on. I mean, we can't function. I don't know how the rest of the world functions with just a little bit of snow.
I mean, I guess I can't really talk because, I mean, the next 7-day forecast, it's sunshine. It's supposed to rain on Monday, which, okay. But, I mean, the temperatures are going to be in the mid-40s to the low 50s, and that's t-shirt weather.
Yeah, you've got a heat wave coming up.
I mean, I've had to wear my snowshoes, my little snow boots, like twice. We got a blizzard around Thanksgiving, and we got a lot of snow on Thanksgiving. We got maybe I don't know, a lot of snow. I don't want to misquote, but it was a lot. And it melted, and it hasn't been back since. And now that Christmas is over and there is no need for snow, it cannot snow anymore.
Yeah, I had to turn on my heater, okay? I actually had to turn on my heater. I actually have to wear a sweater. Do you know how few sweaters I actually own? I went to my closet today because I need to do laundry, and I realized I don't have that many sweaters on reserve.
I'm mentally smacking you across the face.
No, I totally understand that. My day starts off bad if I actually have to put a coat on. I just, who wants to put a coat on?
Right? I am not prepared for cold weather. I'm just not.
You definitely, all right, well, you definitely don't want to put on a coat and then go out somewhere and have to get 2 kids out of car seats and put their coats on.
No.
Their hats and everything, and then get inside and undo all the work you just spent 5 minutes doing in the parking lot.
Well, the only reason I had a coat on tonight for the podcast was to cover up my penguin pajamas. So.
You should be proud of those penguin pajamas.
I am. I love my penguin pajamas.
Let your penguin freak flag fly.
Did those come specifically from the trip that you did to see the penguins, or did you already have them?
No, actually, I didn't get them until I got home. When I got home, I went to Costco to load up on groceries because we had been gone so long. And Costco had penguin flannel jammies. And I bought a pair for me and my daughter-in-law because we were all going to be together at Christmas, and we all put our penguin jammies on together.
My husband lets me do the matching pajamas on Christmas for the whole family, and I got the bear family, you know, Papa Bear and Mama Bear.
Oh,
Baby Bear, because that's like what he called me when I was pregnant. Before I was huge, so it wasn't like a jab. It was like, oh, Mama Bear, I'm pregnant.
oh.
I was 9 months pregnant and huge, not so cute. But but the dad pajamas, the shirts were very feminine, and he's like, I don't like this shirt. It was very tight on him, so I have a feeling he will never wear those pajamas again. For me, it is the most comfortable pajamas ever. So I might wear them next week. Who knows?
Yeah.
Don't waste good pajamas.
Check Costco. They may still have the penguin jammies, which are really cute.
Costco has the best pajamas and like the cutest sweaters and just clothes in general.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't expect it from Costco. Well, as you can see, we tend to get a little off topic.
Mm-hmm.
Diana, we didn't do our round robin.
No, we
Wine.
didn't.
Am I the only one who's drinking tonight, by the way?
Hmm?
Am I the only one who's drinking tonight?
Have you not seen me drinking like a fish? I downed 2 glasses.
Oh.
Were you so engrossed in your wine? Did you like it that much that you just didn't notice what I was drinking?
It's possible.
Okay.
But I mean, mine, it's not a Wink wine this week. I'm in between Wink orders because, you know, Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a red blend something that was very good. What do you have?
Oh, let's go with Susan, what are you drinking?
I'm actually not. I didn't realize this. Well, I should have Wine, Women, and Words, but I didn't bring my wine. So I guess I wanted to be sober for my first appearance.
Yeah, we're not always sober on this show. There's a couple episodes I can point out where I slur my words by the end. And I have no shame about that.
The show is quite literal. And we find that the wine can enhance the interview process.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Well, I am drinking a weak wine tonight.
Okay. Carry this one.
Yay. Yes, I'm drinking a Pinot Noir. It's the Alma Libre, which I think you got before.
Oh, I still have some of that. I just grabbed a different one tonight.
It is. I really like it. It's really good.
It's a little spicy, right?
Yeah, and I like it. I love spice in my wine. I don't like sweet wines. I outgrew those when I was 10. So I really do like the like this one. And I had to go, my next Wink order is going to be mostly Pinot Noirs and a few whites because I got those specifically because Santa brought me a wine fridge. So I'm finally like the cool kids. I think we do. And it's nice because it's small enough where I could fit it in like this little cubby, like desk cubby, like the old school, because our house is older. So all the older houses have these built-in desks that I am never going to use. So it's perfect for my wine fridge. It fits my wine fridge really nicely. And so now I had to get all the proper reds to go into the wine fridge.
I didn't actually realize there were proper wines to put in a wine fridge. I just stick them all in there. I like
Girl, where have you been? I've been learning about wine since we've started doing this show. Where have you been? Okay.
I've been drinking the wine since we started this show.
Well, I've been doing that too. But all right, so wine lesson 101. There's wines with the low tannins are the ones that you put into that you want to chill in the refrigerator. So like your Pinot Noirs, white wines, those kinds of wines are the ones that go into the fridge. Your darker wines with the more tannins, like the Cabernet Sauvignons, those you don't want to put in the fridge. Some of those, like a Merlot too, you can chill for a little bit beforehand, but you don't actually put in the fridge for long extended periods of time.
That was my news for the day.
Yes, exactly. I actually know a thing or two about wine. It's a random happenstance, but it happens.
Well, I think we are just about at our hour for the week. So everyone keep reading or start reading The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle and share theories with us, because I think this is going to be one of those books.
Yes, and I feel like the best theories we're going to have to share with Stuart when he's on the show.
I agree.
We're going to have to share theories, and we're going to have to share questions. And my dogs, so I've got both dogs on my lap right now, and I think they're acting worse than your children because they're actually fighting for attention from mom at present. One is actually just now flopped over the keyboard like she died. And I swear I have fed them and given them attention. So yeah, I think that's time to call it a night. As I'm being trampled to death by dogs.
Thank you so much, Susan, for hanging out with us. It's so much fun.
Thank you. This was really fun. I enjoyed it.
And I know, Diana, you're going to the. Are you going to the event?
I will be at the event on the 26th. So be sure, if you're there, say hi to me.
Can't wait.
Yes.
And have a good night, and we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Bye. Happy New Year, guys.
Bye.